There is a lot of noise in the fitness industry about cardio. One theme that I've been seeing going around a lot lately is this idea that cardio kills your testosterone levels. So I read through all of the latest and most comprehensive research on the topic of how cardio affects testosterone levels. And in this video, I'm going to break down this research to get to the bottom of this inquiry once and for all and provide you with actionable protocols that you can use to implement cardio into your own training in a way that optimizes your testosterone. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Before we can have a conversation about whether cardio kills your testosterone or not, we needed to define our terms and specify which form of cardio we're talking about because not all cardio is made the same. Cardio ranges from zone 1, which is super light, something like walking, to zone 5, which is all out high intensity interval training, and everything in between. It lies on a spectrum that's based on your heart rate and your VO2 max. The type of cardio that is specifically being referred to by all the people saying that it kills testosterone is zone 2. They always say jogging kills your testosterone, and if someone's referring to jogging, they're referring to zone 2. So that's going to be the focus of this video. It's already been well established that zone 5, high intensity cardio, actually boosts testosterone and other anabolic hormones. We're going to be talking about zone 2 in this video. This idea that cardio kills testosterone all originated with this one landmark study. Essentially, they found that, I'm going to read the quote from the study. Men chronically exposed to this type of exercise training, exhibit persistently reduced basal, free, and total testosterone concentrations without concurrent LH elevation. So essentially, guys who did an excessive amount of cardio chronically over a long period of time had this condition, which the researchers coined exercise induced hypogonadal male condition. So hypogonadal just means low testosterone. Exercise induced means this form of exercise, so a lot of endurance exercise, caused the low testosterone. So people took this and said, okay, well, this just means that cardio lowers testosterone because, most of the people that start these myths online just read the first line of the study without actually reading the whole thing. But if you read to the bottom, the fine print, the effort that most people don't want to put in, the authors explicitly state that the exercise hypogonadal condition, I'm reading this quote here, is limited to men who have been consistently involved in chronic endurance training for an extended period of time, i.e., years, and is not a highly prevalent occurrence. This means that this condition of cardio lowering testosterone is mostly just reserved for people who do what the researchers said is chronic endurance training for an extended period of time. Now, since those terms are kind of vague, this follow-up study sought to narrow down exactly how much cardio, like what number of hours of cardio is the threshold at which testosterone levels start to be negatively affected. So, this study, they say, these findings represent the largest published sample on the influence of chronic endurance training and the resulting effects on resting testosterone in men. So, this study is the largest study ever done on this. And they took this last study that we just talked about, as well as all the other studies that came out in the meantime, and combined all of the findings into one mega finding here. And they found that men who train for a minimum of 7 hours per week or more, so that's like over an hour of endurance cardio per day, and had been running for at least 1 year or more, led to lower testosterone levels. So that was just the beginning cutoff. So as soon as you exceed 7 hours of cardio a week for over a year, that's when your testosterone levels start to be negatively affected. So we can see that on this graph here. Testosterone is normal, normal, normal until you get to that 7 hours mark, and then it starts going down. And the more cardio you do over that, the lower testosterone goes up until a certain point. This is not something that the average person needs to worry about. Your average American probably could not do hours of cardio just for 1 week if their life depended on it. And the other thing to point out is that it might not only be the fact that endurance runners do a lot of cardio that's driving their low testosterone. It's also the fact that their overall sport is not aligned for testosterone because number one, they don't do much lifting. since their goal is to be able to run for as long as humanly possible, they need to be as light as humanly possible. So they intentionally shed muscle mass to a certain degree, and their body fat percentage is extremely low. Now, muscle mass has a high density of androgen receptors. Testosterone binds to muscle in the body. So, having enough muscle mass is crucial for optimal testosterone, and runners have very little muscle. Not only that, but since their body fat is so low, having too low of a body fat percentage actually lowers testosterone as well because the body essentially thinks it's starving. The point I'm trying to make is it's not just that they do a lot of cardio, it's that they are extremely skinny, and it's the combination of both of these things that likely leads to this hypogonadal condition they develop. So this raises the question, okay, why does too much cardio lower testosterone? And the simple answer is that it leads to chronic elevations in cortisol. Too much exercise of any kind will lower testosterone as a result of too much cortisol. If you were to lift for, I don't know, 10 hours a week or something really extreme, lifting also secretes cortisol, and that would lower your testosterone as well. So this isn't just a cardio specific problem. Cortisol is antagonistic to testosterone, which essentially means that it blocks testosterone from doing its job. Now, if you're anything like me, you like to wonder and think about things a lot. So you might wonder, why does cortisol impede testosterone? Why do these two hormones work in an opposite fashion? You need to understand the root of biology, and I'll make this as succinct as possible, but the two objectives of all living organisms are survival first and then reproduction. Survival is always the priority because you can't reproduce if you're dead. Now, the core function of testosterone at the end of the day is to encourage reproduction because its main functions are libido and sperm production. So it gives you the drive to reproduce, and it gives you the raw materials that it needs to reproduce. Now, we just said that survival needs to be ensured before reproduction. So, testosterone is only produced optimally when survival is guaranteed because the body doesn't want to make the organism go seek reproduction if it's not safe. Cortisol, on the other hand, is the stress hormone, and it signals to the body that essentially survival is being threatened or the organism is in danger. So the reason why too much running secretes a lot of cortisol is because think back to the times of our caveman ancestors. If a caveman was running all day, every day, it's probably because his survival is threatened. He's either fleeing from predators or he's starving and he's desperate and he has to chase prey all day. And that leads to elevations in cortisol. And since the caveman, his survival is threatened and survival is the first priority, the body's going to shut down testosterone production to encourage the caveman to focus on surviving first before you go reproduce. So that's why too much cortisol lowers testosterone. Cortisol says you're not surviving well, you need to focus on surviving. It's not a good time to mate, so it lowers testosterone. And this whole concept, this whole theme relates to anything that leads to too much cortisol. This can be psychological stress, this can be sickness or anything else. I know that was a bit of a divagation, but coming back, doing too much cardio leads to lower testosterone levels because it increases cortisol production, and cortisol signals to the body that it is not safe and needs to focus on survival. Like we said before, almost all Americans couldn't do 7 hours of cardio a week if they tried. In fact, most people should be doing more cardio. The government public health bodies recommend that you do 150 minutes of cardio. So that's about 2.5 hours of cardio per week. But I don't tend to follow government recommendations because those are just meant to keep you alive, not necessarily thrive. But there are people out there who give you information who do want to see you thrive. For example, Dr. Peter Attia, great podcaster about health, he recommends doing 3 to 4 hours of zone 2 cardio a week minimum, and ideally up to 5 to 7 hours. Andrew Huberman says to do 180 to 210 minutes a week, so that's about 3 to 4 hours. Only 25% of Americans meet the government's minimum standards for cardio. So that means less than 5% of Americans meet the ranges that are designed to make you thrive, the optimal ranges. The point is, the average person does not need to worry about doing too much cardio that will lead to lower testosterone productions. That's mostly just reserved for people training for marathons and things like that. In fact, cardio actually boosts testosterone. This other study found that aerobic exercise can significantly increase testosterone production, especially in men who are obese or have type 2 diabetes. And since 60% of the American population is overweight or obese, then it follows that almost everyone watching this video could benefit from doing more cardio. They went on to say that aerobic exercise, so cardio, has been found to be superior to calorie restriction for improving testosterone concentrations in men who are overweight. If you're overweight or obese, losing body fat is one of the most important things that you can do to improve your testosterone levels, because body fat contains this enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase takes testosterone and breaks it down and converts it into estrogen. So the less body fat you have, the less aromatase you have, and the more your testosterone can flow freely because it's not being turned into estrogen. There's a lot of different ways to lose body fat, but it all comes down to being in a calorie deficit. And you can either be in a calorie deficit from eating less or moving more. And this study showed that moving more by doing cardio was much better for improving testosterone concentrations in overweight men than cutting calories. If you want to lose body fat as a way to improve your testosterone, focus more on doing cardio and exercising than just extremely depriving yourself of food and not moving very much. They finalized the study to say aerobic exercise training can also increase testosterone concentrations in healthy, active populations. It's not just that obese people who need to lose fat benefit from testosterone, everyone benefits from cardio for optimal testosterone, and here's why. Cardio increases calories burned. The more calories you burn, the less body fat you have, and the less body fat you have, the more testosterone you produce because you have less aromatase. A normal, healthy amount of cardio actually lowers cortisol because it improves your body's ability to handle cortisol. So, exercise in and of itself increases cortisol temporarily, but then after the exercise is over, your cortisol levels go back down. And when your cortisol levels go back down, you go back below baseline. So it's a short term increase in cortisol for a long term decrease. And this counteracts stress induced testosterone suppression. Doing cardio and exercise improves your body's ability to handle stress. Doing cardio also increases dopamine, and without going into too much detail, the more dopamine you have flowing around in your brain, the more testosterone your body produces, because dopamine and testosterone systems are closely interrelated. Doing cardio improves your sleep quality, and since testosterone is secreted mostly during sleep, better sleep quality means more optimized testosterone production. Cardio enhances blood flow, so you got to get blood moving throughout your body, and this leads to better oxygen and nutrients delivery to all parts of your body, but also your testicles. And the more oxygen and nutrients that are delivered to your testicles, the better they function. The better your testicles function, the more optimized your testosterone production is. Cardio improves mitochondrial efficiency. So, mitochondria are these little things in your cells that produce energy. And the better your mitochondria can produce energy, the better everything in your body functions, including the pathways in your testicles that produce testosterone. Since cardio is just good for your health overall, how could something that's good for your health be bad for your testosterone levels? The main theme of testosterone is it's a reflection of your overall health. The healthier a man is, the better his testosterone production is as well. So, doing anything that improves your health improves your testosterone production, and cardio is one of those things. The other point I want to make is that extremes of any kind are harmful. So, doing way too much cardio is harmful, just like doing no cardio is harmful. Problem with this idea that cardio is bad for testosterone is it's like saying lifting weights is bad for you because bodybuilders have a higher risk of heart attacks. Like, no, bodybuilders go way to the extreme with steroids and everything, and that's what makes bodybuilding unhealthy, just like going way to the extreme with endurance training. Okay, so since we've established that too much of anything is a bad thing, this begs the question, how much cardio should you do? Now, since the government recommendations were 2 to 2.5 hours, I put that at the very bottom minimum end of the spectrum. And since exceeding 7 hours of cardio a week led to lower testosterone levels, I put that at the end of the spectrum. Huberman recommended 3 to 4 hours a week. Atia recommended 4 to 7 hours per week. So, like most things, there's a bell shaped curve with a Goldilocks zone. So, you want to be in the middle, not too much or not too little. I would recommend anywhere between 3 to 7 hours of cardio per week is optimal. The other important thing to know about cardio is the duration. When it comes to zone 2 cardio, you usually don't get the health promoting benefits if you do less than 20 minutes. You need to do at least 20 minutes per session to start seeing the benefits. But if you go for too long, if you exceed 80 minutes, that's where the cortisol production starts to be excessive. Similar to the total cumulative amount of cardio per week, the amount of cardio you do in each session matters too. Since 80 minutes is too long, anything less than 20 minutes is too short. We shoot for anywhere between half an hour to an hour of cardio to stay in that Goldilocks zone per session. Your take home actionable protocol that you should implement into your life. The optimal cardio protocol for high testosterone levels is to do 3 to 7 hours of cumulative cardio per week, at least 20 minutes per session, and no more than 80 minutes per session. Cardio is only a problem if you do way too much, which most people will never do in a lifetime. If it's a replacement for lifting, so if you are only doing cardio, that's going to be problematic because lifting is important for testosterone. You also need to have muscle mass. You need to do a balance. If you only lift and do no cardio, you're not going to get any of the cardiovascular benefits of testosterone production. But if you only do cardio and not lifting, you're not going to get any of the lifting benefits of testosterone production. So you got to balance both. You got to do some hybrid training. But at the end of the day, any exercise is way better than none. If all you do is go for jogs and you never lift, that's still going to be way better for your health and your testosterone production than doing no cardio. So if for whatever reason you absolutely cannot lift, still do cardio. It's way better than nothing. So I just want to end with this. Human beings have been doing cardio since the dawn of mankind. I mean, our caveman ancestors would have had to hunt down prey. Humans continue to do cardio all the way through the Olympic Games. One concept you should understand is that anything that's evolutionarily consistent that our caveman ancestors would have done, whether it be lifting heavy things or eating whole foods like meat, fruits, and vegetables and not processed grains and stuff like that, anything that's aligned with human evolution is very likely good for your health. And cardio is one of those things. So the idea that it's bad for your testosterone levels is completely asinine. And I hope that this research we unpacked today made that abundantly clear. If you're a man and you find that you're struggling with your testosterone levels, you have any of those low testosterone symptoms, like you can't build muscle, can't lose body fat, libido or erection issues, anything like that, well, I actually have a coaching program where we help men implement protocols exactly like this, but in all aspects of life to help them optimize their testosterone levels in accordance with whatever goals they might have. So maybe you want to, build some muscle and lose body fat, get in the best shape of your life. Well, we're going to use testosterone optimization as a vehicle for that. Or maybe you're a dad and you want to have kids, but you have low sperm count and your goal is to be able to conceive a child. We're going to use all the same protocols to optimize your testosterone levels to help get you to your goal. So whatever your goal is, we use testosterone optimization, us at Vital Fitness Foundation, as the vehicle to get you there. If you think that's something you could benefit from, you can check out our program and the link is in the description. But that's all I got today. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.